So I'm in my kitchen for today's episode, and the reason for that is that a really easy literacy task is reading recipes. And I know that obviously your 2-year-old isn't going to be able to read a recipe, but the process of using a recipe to cook something shows your child that a recipe has words and it has meaning, and the recipe is what tells us how to cook something. So it gives that purpose, which is one of my really key components of literacy. It gives kids purpose behind why we need literacy. They need to be able to read the words or see the words, even see the pictures to help them out a little bit, and also has things like numbers for measurements and things like that. So literacy is all about lots of different words and following steps and instructions. So anything involving recipes or instructions like craft activities are really, really great for following instructions, but in particular for exposure to the purpose of literacy. So if you have a younger child who is still a toddler and isn't yet ready to read, just showing them that you read the recipe step by step. You might draw their attention to maybe the numbers of the steps, or the the sizes of the cups or the spoons that you need, and they can be your little helper with that sort of stuff. Over time, you can sort of build on the activities that I talk about around recognizing words and seeing if they can recognize words like cup or mix, and lots of those really simple ones. But if you have an older child, you can really start to focus on individual words, ingredients that they really love using. Say you make a lot of things with flour, you might start to look for that word flour lots of times. And you could start to give them the independence to do recipes that are really easy, where they can do all the steps. For example, so my 3-year-old daughter now knows all the steps in preparing a chicken that is going to be roasted in the oven. So she does everything at the beginning except melting the butter. She does the rest of everything, picking the little bits off the rosemary and everything, and then I just do the oven side of it. So the more you do things, the more exposure you're giving them to literacy activities. And we just use the recipe on my phone. So I'll show you what I'm going to be doing today. So today I'm going to be making cloud dough. It's a little bit like Play-Doh, but it is a lot softer. And the one that I make is not taste safe. I am actually using conditioner and corn flour. There are recipes that are taste safe, so if you have little ones and you want to make some, definitely go for a taste safe one. But this is the one that I really love doing. So all I've got is just general conditioner. I've got 1/4 cup. And I've got a recipe here on my iPad, just to avoid printing. So we can read at the top, cloud dough, that's my name. Then you will need, they are 3 fantastic high frequency words like I talked about with the other activities the other days. And then we've got some really interesting numbers here. So they are fractions. We've got 1/4 cup of conditioner and 1/2 cup of corn flour. If you are making this at home and you want to make a really big batch, you can actually just make sure you've got 1 part of conditioner to 2 parts corn flour. And then I've got some food colouring here. And then mix and knead all ingredients. Now this is a really basic recipe, and that is best for your really little kids, but you can use obviously more complex ones. A Play-Doh recipe might be slightly more complex. There are some really great no-cook Play-Doh recipes where your kids can do most of the steps except boiling water. And mix is a really fantastic word, and all, they fall into that high frequency word again. You will need and all. They're really words that just come up a lot of times. Ingredients is a really awesome one because it's such a big word, and sometimes those bigger words are much easier to recognize than other words. So ingredients. And knead, if you've got an older child, is a really great one to recognize that it's got that silent K. So there's lots of learning opportunities even in something that is so simple. So basically, I'm just going to follow the recipe. You will need 1/4 cup of conditioner. I've already got that. 1/2 cup of corn flour. I've got that. food colouring. I've got that, and I think I'm going to choose purple today. We might put a bit of pink in just to lighten it up. You could also, on your recipe, if you do want to quickly do your own, is put what utensils you need. So you need a spoon and a bowl, and also your measuring cups. And I'm going to mix and knead. So I'm going to put in my conditioner, which smells really beautiful. So again, it's not taste safe, so it's not suitable if your kids are still putting everything in their mouth, especially because it smells really nice. And then I'm going to put in my corn flour. I'm going to mix it together. So you can adjust that recipe, and that's really good for kids as well, is that problem solving. Okay, so it's feeling a little bit sticky or a bit wet. What's a dry thing that we could add to it? And not even giving them that clue with your older kids. So now that it's really starting to come together, I'm just going to start to see if I can knead it into more of a dough. And it's looking awesome. So it smells really beautiful. It's a lot lighter and fluffier than Play-Doh. Pretty marbled colour, and more colour will start to come through as I knead, because it's just gotten trapped inside there. So anyway, so this is our cloud dough, and it's just so nice. You have to try it at home, especially if you have these ingredients already, and you can start to make your own. So there we have it, cloud dough. I followed my steps and my instructions, and it's just a really nice literacy activity with a lot of language involved as well. So the cloud dough is also a little bit drier for some kids, so can be good if your kids aren't yet enjoying playing with Play-Doh, which can be that little bit more sticky. So the cloud dough is a really good option for that. It is so much softer, and it is quite a different texture. But one really fun one that I really like doing with my cloud dough and with my Play-Doh is squashing balls of Play-Doh. And this one in particular can be really good with stamps, so you can actually stamp into the Play-Doh, but I've just got a block here, and I'm just going to squash the balls of Play-Doh. So it's just really fun, and it's really therapeutic. And the thing that you can do with this is you can actually, you can squash and say a word, or you can squash and say a sound. So you might say, what sound does the letter K make? And if they can say K, then we can squash K. We can also practice sounds. So if you are doing some more of the speech sound stuff, we can go K, 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 K. So just really easy for getting repetitions, and kids really love squashing things, as I'm sure you know. So I'd love to know if you give the cloud dough a go, or if you do similar recipes or different recipes. I'd love to know what you do. There are quite a few activities on my Instagram, but they don't necessarily have recipes attached. I will give you the cloud dough recipe as an image, so you can have that on your iPad or your phone. And yeah, just really great for following recipes and exposing kids to the purpose of literacy.